Alrighty, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. What I'm doing now is I'm just making a transmission for the ship. So I'll just go over what I've done. I was going to build it, but I was having troubles. I'd written the code backwards. I did about 40 minutes of recording here, and then I just realized it wasn't working because I wrote the code backwards, so I just had to go through it. But essentially we have our panel, our composite input panel, and we have our two channels, gear up and gear down. And they go into an up and down counter, which goes into 5 thresholds, which go into here, which go into a Lua block. The Lua block then processes each signal, and then it outputs a number for the throttle and for the clutch. And then this here is our, it was going to be like a parking brake. If this was in a car, it'd be a parking brake. It's just the on. If on, then, so I just turn it on, and then that it engages the clutch. Yeah, so how does it work? So this is each gear, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which is our input on off, right? This is coming from the thresholds. And then we have our on input. This would be like a parking brake, or the clutch. If the clutch is on, then you can shift. And then this is our base values. So when it's not in any gear, the throttle idles at 0.03 and the clutch sits at 0. That's just this can be changed. You can set this to keypad, you can set that to keypad, so that way you can have that raw input if you want, without needing the gears, so you can customize it. So what I did was I took the ship for a spin, and I just gathered some variables that I'm now going to be using. So the way to do this is you want to say output.setNumber, the channel, and then the variable. Output, set number, the channel, then the variable. So down here I'm saying if on is enabled, so if the clutch is enabled, and we're in gear number A, then we're going to say output.setNumber, throttle A, and clutch A. So that's your first gear here. This is your second gear, third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear. So what I need to do is I need to do this 4 more times. 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I have 5 gears, and then this will be B, C, D, and E, right? And then we are going to do the same with this, your throttle. B, C, and D, and E. There we go. So now if I press gear C, the throttle numbers should be one of these. So now what I need now what I need to do is we'll update that. Update that. I have 2 of these displays. I'll just, because I was testing it here. Let's see. Wait a second here. I'll just take these 2 displays here. So just bear with me for a moment. This just gives me my throttle reading. So what I'll do, I'll just stick that on there for now. Oops. Merge that in there. So that'll tell me what I'm in gear, what my settings are, so I can test it. Then I'll save this and we'll just test it right now. The transmission. So there's 5 gears to the transmission. So what I did was I went sailing and I took a throttle measurement and a clutch measurement, and I checked to see if the RPS was stable at those 2 measurements. And if it was stable for a minute or a couple of minutes, then I just said, okay, that's going to be the number that I'm going to use. So I did that 5 times. I chose 5 different numbers. Obviously gear 5 is top speed, maximum stability, all that sort of stuff. So this is kind of like I built the composite panel. You could think of it as like a dashboard, and now I have the engine throttle speed and the clutch speed. So I should be able to read both of those. So it should be 0.03 for the throttle, and it should be 0 for the clutch. Those should be our raw measurements right now. And oh, why isn't it working? No. Did I not save it? Oh boy. Oh boy. What did I do here? If on, then... Oh, there's an error there. I made a big boo-boo on the code. That only needs to be written once. If on, and I'm ending it down here. If I write it, there's two if statements. I only want one if statement. If I write the second if statement, I have to end it down here every single time. So that was the error there. All right, so that's our basic transmission here. Hopefully it works this time. Hopefully it works. So it's got 5 different throttle settings and 5 different clutch settings. And then it has an idle setting. Oh, no. Yes, I'm still testing the weighting, so unfortunately all these containers are still attached to the ship. So I have to go through, unfortunately, every time and lock them down. I'm almost done. The ship is almost ready to sail and to start making money. I have to work out the anchors still. Just a couple of things. Okay, so there we go. There's our throttle and there's our clutch. So now, if I turn all this on, it should fire up. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Oh. It appears to be started. So it's going to idle around 5 RPS. Should be able to turn the alternator on. It'll slowly cool. So now... Oh, did it? No, yeah, see, it's just puffing. It's just puffing there. 7 RPS. Look at that. So it's idling now. If we turn that on... and put it into gear, we'll have to wait for the RPS to kick in, and then that way we'll should get a reading here on the clutch. All right, not getting a signal through. So half of the problem has been resolved, but I'm not getting signal through on the clutch side now. I wonder why that is. Let's see. Oh, maybe because of that. Maybe because of that. Yeah. Maybe because of that. So I should... Yeah. Alright. Because what I was doing is I was telling it every logic tick to output the throttle as 0.03 and the clutch as 0 no matter what. And now here what I'm saying is if the on switch is on, then turn the clutch to 0 and the throttle to 0.03. And if the... And then if you're in gear, then turn the clutch up and the throttle up. So like each vehicle will have to calibrate independently. But I think it pretty well just got the basic idea. So you take a composite panel and you need an up switch and a down switch. And you want to connect that to, I should probably turn the sensitivity of the button down too. And you can connect that, let's see, now it's 0 and 0. So if I turn that on, it's 0 and 0. Oh boy. Why? Because I'm not telling it to do anything unless I take this and maybe wrap this whole function inside the logic tick. It's the only thing I can think of now. As it's all part of the on tick function. The frustrating part sometimes about all right, I'll just get in the wheelhouse and I'm not going to lock it down again. I thought it was going to be ready to go, so I was running through there, but yeah, there we go. All right. So the whole thing had to be wrapped inside the on tick function. Alright, that's cool. Kind of makes sense. If I was drawing it, then it would all have to be in the on draw. So, if that's the case, I should be able to start it up. We should get better than, oh yeah, there we go. We get 4. Should be able to get about 6 on this one. So now we're going. Now we're idling. We're idling. Let's turn the alternator on. And we've got electricity now. Now, if we switch gears, there we go. Oh, I stalled. Oh, because it went to... It went right into 5th gear. Whoops. Alright, now it's idling. Going to second gear here. Second gear is... Huh, okay, so the only gear that appears to be working is fifth gear. Now that probably has to do with the counter that I have. I have an up-down counter for each gear. And that probably has to do with... It starts at 0. It should start at 1. No. It should start in 0 gear and it should go up by 1. Yeah, so when we're in first gear, it should say 20 and 0.1, but it didn't. It didn't kick in until E. I wonder why. I wonder why. I wonder if it's this. It could be. Could potentially be that. The on. Potentially be the on. Okay. Let's do that. Let's update that. I know the 0.03 seems like it's a little bit low. I was testing it earlier, and actually maybe I was maybe it was a little bit higher than that. It seemed good earlier, but I can always change that to 4. We'll do that. It's just that when I'm using the crane, if it's too high, then the engine will go to 60 RPS, and I don't want that. I want it to idle, you know. I don't want it to be sucking down fuel while I'm in the crane loading the ship. All right, so let's try that. So it doesn't need to be on, so it should default to yeah, that's right. Because the threshold puts out a constant on signal. I've proven that already. Proven that. So let's see here. And instead of just testing it based on one gear, well, I can't wait to take this thing out to sea and sail it. It's been a long time. It's almost ready. I just keep doing these little side projects. Oh yeah, there we go. So we're at 04. And then it works on 5th gear. But it's not working on the 3rd gear. So that must be the up and down counter that I have. That must be the up and down counter. Let's think about that for a minute. So this should be between 1 and 1. And this should be between 2 and 2. And this should be between 3 and 3. And this should be between 4 and 4. And this should be between 5 and 5. And it starts at 0. Let's try that. Yeah, it's hard to know sometimes if what's gonna, you know, it's hard to know. So we're at 0. No, that's, why is the, I don't understand. The only one it wants to read is this one, if gear E. Because this should only be throwing out a signal when it's in gear. And that's what it does. And when it's not in gear, it doesn't throw out a signal. So what's wrong with the code that it doesn't want to... Maybe it's this. Here, maybe it's this. Maybe it's this. Like we could do that. No, I think I could just end this here actually. And then I can just say, I can get rid of that. Let's see. It should be that, can't be that complicated. I don't imagine. I don't know. It's either that or I just set up a bunch of constant numbers in a microcontroller, and every time the threshold gets to it, it throws those constant numbers. But I guess this is kind of the same thing, in a way. No, now it doesn't want to recognize any of the numbers. So then, if we got rid of this, and just left it like that, and then if I should say if on, then, right, and then we can say on equals input dot, yeah, we'll use that boolean again, channel 6. We'll say this here, and then it'll do that, and that'll be our, should be our raw. I think. Alright, so it does recognize each gear now, except for The first, oh, because I didn't turn it on. Okay, so what I wanted to see if I could turn the sensitivity down on that, on the block here. Uh, is there no way to turn the sensitivity down? Oh, you know what I should do is I'll have to turn the sensitivity down in here. Increments, it can go 0.5. Maybe? Point 2, no, 0.5. I should go 1, I guess. It's just really, it's so fast. Here, 0.5, we'll try that, we'll try that. Alright. Save this. Cool. So that's how you can use Lua to make a transmission. I'll go over the script here. Let's see, get everything clamped into here. So what it does, what the script does is it takes the input 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it turns each one of those into an on signal, and basically when this is on, output these two numbers. It gives a clutch number and it gives a throttle number. That's what I was trying to figure out there. So when we turn that on, there we go. We should be able to idle now. All right, and it'll start up and it'll just idle at clutch 0 and nice. Now I'll turn the alternator on, so now we can have that. And then if I put it into first gear, I'll have to turn this off. There we go. Have to tap it twice. Oh, that stalled the engine? I might have to let it idle a little bit. Yeah, I'll have to figure something out here. The RPS has to go a little bit higher, I think. Let the engine warm up here. And it's got no pressure on it, so it will run away. That's I was thinking maybe I'll have a keypad set up just for this part here. Now I should be able to oh, really? Oh, there's a helicopter taking off. Cool. Alright, so now I just gotta kind of figure out how this whole clutch thing is gonna work. I should be able to keep in first gear. No, it just keeps sapping the, but it should be .2 throttle and 18 clutch. So maybe I've got this backwards here. Let me check. Maybe I've got this backwards. This is the clutch, and this is the throttle. The clutch is on. That's our pitch. Yeah, so strange. Doesn't want to accept that clutch number now, albeit I was already maybe I should set this up a little higher. Maybe I should set this to like 1 or 8 even. Let's try that. Yeah, so I'll go over this and then I'm just going to sit here and continue to calibrate. So what have I done here? So I've taken our composite panel. I have our up and down buttons and then our on button. I put it into a counter, and I use thresholds for our gears 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then those go into a Lua script. And then inside the Lua script, we have our 5 gears and our on button. And then we have our variables for each gear, the numbers that we want, and then our output for that. And that's basically it. Now it's just a matter of kind of just playing around with it and getting it to function. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.